What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we are jumping into some more Orcs Must Die 3. This time we are heading into the ninth level, ninth scenario, which is the second worst scenario in the game, the front lawn. And this is actually a really nice area, mainly because it has a lot of enemies. And those enemies are basically just going to run directly into spaces that you can place traps very early. So if there's any war scenario trap you want to level up, any trap that needs to just deal a lot of damage, you can get it done here very easily. There's a lot of enemies as usual because it's a war scenario. And you can basically funnel 100% of the enemies into a tight area here with very little work. So this is probably the perfect grind level for leveling any new traps that might appear in the future. But in addition to that, it's just still relatively simple. They don't start getting more complex significantly until the next war scenario, and then that's sort of when you get the game changers. But also, we use the war outpost here, pretty much to great effect. There are a couple of issues with the way that the war outpost works here, not related to the war outpost on its own, but more so due to some bugs that seem to have been introduced with updates to the game. And I'm not exactly sure what caused them. I'm not sure which update it came through in, whether it was drastic steps or if it was the pathing update, but you have the ability to get invulnerable kobolds, and I think it has something to do with their hitbox possibly disappearing when they attempt to path through the larger enemies as they get crowd controlled, but I'm not 100% sure. That's just what it appears to be in the way that the game handles them moving. It could be some sort of desync that happens in the game code where you see the kobolds in one location but they aren't there. But since there's everything's being beamed to you on the machine that it's running from, due to the Stadia instance, I don't think that's actually what's happening here. I think it might actually just be kobolds losing their hitboxes, and you'll see what I mean once we actually get up to that point. There's also some lessons to learn for me here in the way that I handled the setup, mainly because there's a few situations in which I am building things like additional war outposts. You only need 2 war outposts here, but I go and try to build a third, and when you start putting coin in places where the coin won't actually be able to do much for a significant period of time, or you could have better concentrated damage in a further area that is lacking it, or a more forward place that the orcs will be reaching. Basically, you both slow yourself down and make it so that enemies can more easily path through where you're going. One of the things that I do that's a little bit smarter than what I've done in some of the previous videos that I've done in this game is I do let the grenadier archers or dynamite archers kind of just die. I'm not standing next to a lot of my barricades, and that means that they get closer to the traps, and since they don't have any targets to fire at, the traps kind of do their job and just take them out. And I say that right as I get dynamite to the face, but you'll see me backing away from the archers a bit more than I was in close quarters and things like that. Especially more than on cliffside, where I got an entire set of barricades destroyed, I believe. But once the kobolds start showing up and passing through the enemies, you'll see that they're basically invulnerable to everything. I try a few things to actually fire at them. The blunderbuss shots just go right through them. The ice amulet just completely whiffs, and yeah, even at point blank, there's just nothing going on. I thought that, maybe my aim was atrocious or something like that at first. I'm like, maybe I just missed, and, I didn't see it that way. But considering that, I'm using the most consistently hitting weapon in the game, and actually the two most consistently hitting weapons in the game, other than just fire. You know, that I thought that something was suspect here at first, and then that sort of verified it for me when it happened on two different waves or with two different groups of kobolds, and they basically were invulnerable the entire time until they hit a certain section of the map. So what you would want to do if you're doing this setup yourself is to make sure that you first sell that rear war outpost. It's not needed. You can not have to place any additional barricades or anything around it as well. You only want the two. You want to make sure that you build the two ice dart spitters as soon as possible. Those are your crowd control, and they will hold most of the enemies and allow you to deal most of your damage. And from there, you want to focus on getting your ballista count as high as possible. Once you get those ballista built, what you can do is focus on getting some more war traps built out front, which will slow the enemies down. So since the ballista are able to shoot out in front of your war outposts, and you can also place some guardian archer banks on top of the war outposts as well. That's also a great idea. But since you're able to do that, and they'll be both running into CC and taking a lot of damage up front, you can build some more CC with the other war outpost trap, or not war outpost traps, but war scenario traps further away from where the enemies will be funneling, by building some tornadoes in a box and things like the giant killer beehive trees. And basically you'll just have a bunch of orcs stumbling around and getting peppered with arrow shots. That war outpost right there, that's the one that was absolutely unneeded. First two are okay. That one's just a waste.
And don't come back.
Because nothing's even pathing around it properly. And the second war outpost doesn't actually have all of his traps and things set up. So effectively at this point I'm just building things for no reason. Also, due to this bug, there's a couple of things that we would have been able to sort of automate without having to chase kobolds, and that would have made all of this a lot easier to go through. If we didn't build that barricade and the war outpost, we would have been able to build a bottleneck for these kobolds right here, and we never would have had to come back to this area again. Granted, I wasn't 100% sure about the bug until about right here when I saw the shots just go through. And I noticed that a lot of kobolds managed to make it through there, which is unusual.
Bye-bye.
So after these enemies are dispatched, we'll basically go and shore up the forward defenses, and then we'll have to come back and build the bottleneck for the kobolds. Once I sort of functionally realized while going through this what was happening with the kobolds becoming invulnerable, it made a lot more sense that I build a bottleneck in the rear with some brimstones. Still don't do that quite right because I didn't understand 100% what was going on, like while I was playing the game. But yeah, it's definitely probably the most annoying bug that I've run into while playing the game. Another great benefit is those skull drops. Because there's so many orcs, there's a good opportunity to score a lot of skulls on this level, even if you've already beaten it. Because you're guaranteed a boss. That boss is going to get you one skull drop. Any skull drops that drop from the enemies are also going to give you some skulls, and you usually get a couple on a war scenario. Sometimes you can get 3 or 4. It's really nice if your goal is to level up traps quickly, or just stockpile skulls for unlocking new outfits if you got drastic steps. And the war outposts are, I'm sorry, not the war outposts, the war scenarios are much more sandboxy than your regular stages, where you have to sort of hustle in the beginning, and by the time you really hit your stride, the stages basically end. With the war scenarios, you sort of get yourself going, and then you still have a significant amount of orcs to kill afterwards. So, you know, you can sort of sit back and admire your work, unless you run into a game-breaking bug. And then have to chase down kobolds for, you know, another 15 minutes. Well, this video isn't even going to be that long, but point still stands. I hate that bug. So, after you when you're placing any sort of archers on top of the war outpost here, it's another invincible kobold. You don't want to place them directly at the front of your war outposts. This is important because usually there's going to be some form of archers or dynamite archers. Just archers or dynamite archers, period. I think those are the only two archers. There's also grenadier gnolls, but I'm not sure if they're going to target your guardian archers specifically. But the regular orc archers and dynamite archers will. And the forward archers are going to be the first ones that they attack. If they can hit them before they walk under the outpost, then they'll do so, and they'll be less susceptible to the traps that the outpost has set up. If you make sure that you don't start placing them until like about 2 spaces behind where your outpost starts, so basically in the rear of the outpost, you should be perfectly fine. Those archers will survive with almost no damage at all, and you won't feel like you wasted any coin, which I always hate. Especially on Rift Lord due to the lack of go breaks. Archers just feel much less worthwhile than they do in the regular game. And the Bank of Archers has no functional upgrades for the way that they perform without their unique upgrades. They're always just going to have the amount of level and the amount of health that they start with. You can't increase it. Whereas the regular Guardian Archer, you can increase their health a little bit, but you know, that's meant to mainly make them more useful in smaller stages. The bank is always the superior choice, just because of the amount of damage that they're able to put out and the fact that you just get so many archers. So it's a good idea, again, for crowd control and things like that to be out here. I did not make enough use of a lot of the CC war scenario traps as of the time of this video. So, you know, I was experimenting some with placing the giant killer bee trees or giant killer beehives in front of the war outposts, which turns out is a great idea. Confusing orcs in front of an entire array of ballista is great. You can also try to use some of the other war traps, such as the snowblower trap, the large like freezing panel that you can set out on the ground. It's a great trap if you need to slow down large groups of orcs. It's not something that I put to good use on this particular level, but there's some other ones that it works really well in, and you can use it here as well. It's generally just a very good floor trap, and it's the only ground ice trap that exists in this game. There are no regular ground ice traps as far as I'm aware. The floor spikes do lightning and arcane. The brimstone is fire and arcane. And the tar just enhances fire and slows. And that might be it for ground traps that deal damage. Am I missing something? No, I think that's about it. Alright, that's all I can remember off the top of my head right now. Like, there's not a huge variety in ground traps. There's the Confusion Flower. I know that. But the Confusion Flower is more CC than anything that deals damage. And maybe that's a hole in the trap types that they can fill via DLC or additional content of some form. We saw that they added a few traps, 2 war and 2 regular traps, with the addition of the Drastic Steps DLC, and both of those traps are absolutely overpowered compared to what existed previously. The new Guardians are straight ridiculous, and The new ceiling and the new wall trap are also extremely nice. We have the boss showing up here, and if you have any sort of concentrated damage here, this boss is like absolutely a joke. He's going to try to come and bang on your barricades, which is why you don't want to put barricades directly in front. You want to put them as far back as possible to make sure that the orcs, sappers, dynamite archers, whatever is going to try to destroy them, has to get as close as possible to everything else that deals damage before, you know, it even gets to do anything, and hopefully they'll just get obliterated. It's what we do. And here we just kind of double check that what we're placed in the rear is going to work on these guys. They should basically just get incinerated when they go around the corner. And I still don't know why I placed that tar trap there. Again, I know that the only thing going back this far right now should be kobolds, and just a single brimstone takes those out with no trouble. Wasn't sure how many of these guys are going to be coming through and how fast in the later waves, but the answer definitely wouldn't have been another tar. It should have just been 2 brimstone. But yeah, this is basically done. I didn't even follow those kobolds back because I expected them to just absolutely be destroyed. Because we still had the gate there, I knew that I would hear a message if any of them actually made it anywhere to the gate. And they sort of just get roasted, and I don't even see them anymore, which is great. Alright, that one got through. But again, that's why I really want that that bug to be fixed. Another brimstone should have prevented that from getting through, but that kobold also could have just been invulnerable, and maybe they didn't regain their hitbox because I wasn't following them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you know, again, we'll see what happens if that gets patched out. But other than just that one sort of nuisance on this level, I like this setup a lot. I think it works pretty well to take care of just about anything. Of course, I've always been a fan of spamming auto ballista everywhere, and unfortunately, it's always been an A strat if you're just looking to clear things quickly or deal with heavy enemies. So, you know, we got to use a lot of traps here, and that's really fun, especially seeing like the arrows rain through the tornadoes. So, you know, let me know what you guys think of this particular level, the clear. Have you guys had any fun with the War Outpost or other traps here, if you've gotten the opportunity to play? Or just let me know how you've been. I know that I love hearing or just seeing comments and things from you guys and hearing about the stuff that you're doing. If there's any games that you want to talk about or that you like to see on the channel, feel free to let me know about those as well. Maybe I'll get the opportunity to put some videos of them up. And, you know, of course, once I get through some of this, I'll show you some of the other things that I've been playing in the meantime. But, as always, I want you guys to take care of yourselves. That's the most important thing these days. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, you can feel free to follow me not only on the YouTube channel by subscribing, but also checking out my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/VermillionPhoenix, spelled just like the YouTube channel. And you'll see me go live there, usually on the weekends with me and the missus. We do like a little group stream where we play games together, and we also have some solo streams up where it's just me playing whatever flavor of the week game I decide I want to go through, and you know, it's a good time. But as always, take care of yourselves. Until next time, you know, whether it be the next video, the next stream, or the next conversation. As always, have a good one, folks. Peace.